Nick, you know what? It's springtime. Finally, it's springtime. Can we talk about that today?
I think it depends on where you live, though. I'm thinking it's less springtime for you, more springtime for me, isn't it?
Are you talking like Australia?
Well, that would be fall.
It's fall time.
Let's ask our Australian fan when he comes out. And it's fall time there, but no, I'm talking about. I don't know what it looks like up there in Wisconsin, but we have flowers already blooming. I'm starting to get leaves on the trees, and unfortunately, we were talking before we jumped on here for the episode. Unfortunately, I don't get a chance to see it because I'm stuck in the middle of the country right now, where it's still pretty gloomy and pretty brown without any flowers or leaves or anything budding out for spring. So that's why I'm saying is it can't be quite as springy for you yet as it is down in Nashville.
When most of your last several months has been dictated by temperatures below 20 degrees, anything above 30 is suddenly springtime.
It makes sense to me.
Well, it's true. You just want to latch onto anything to make it seem like spring is on the way. Well, it's going to be in the upper 40s and maybe 50 today.
Oh, wow.
Fahrenheit.
Watch out.
So, yeah. So it's for us, it's I'll probably have shorts and T-shirt, maybe flip-flops on.
I do remember, and I may have mentioned this in a previous episode, that when I was a teenager, I used to drive a Jeep Wrangler. And when the temperature got up to about 50 degrees, that's when we took the top down. In Minnesota.
But that was Minnesota. So let's make sure everyone knows how freaky you are in that you prefer colder climates.
I do prefer colder climates. That is true.
Man, yeah. All of us who have been through a Midwest winter now think you're crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's not just people that have gone through a Midwest winter that think I'm crazy.
Is that a prevailing attitude?
Yeah, it really is. It really is. So before we talk a little bit more about spring, though, I do want to call to attention, which, that's what I'm good at doing, calling to attention, that in our last episode, I sounded like I was stuck in a box. And everyone may notice that I'm stuck in a box again. And I just want to apologize to all of our listeners that it was not our intention for me to be in a box. We've been having some technical difficulty. And as much as we're trying to fix it, we decided that we were going to go ahead and stick me in a box for this episode one more time. Hopefully by the next episode, we'll have that box torn up and recycled.
Because that's what we do. We recycle boxes.
Yep. Especially because it's springtime. I feel like we have to recycle more in the spring for some reason.
I don't know where that came from, but yeah, maybe it is spring. Because in the fall, we don't give a crap anymore.
No, we're just in the fall. We're using all of that to pad our houses for heat, keep the heat in.
That's what I do with my plastic water bottles. I shove them in the wall.
Exactly. Yeah, we make earth houses.
Yes,
that's what we do for a living. We're just not in the spring.
So I'm looking at things to do in the springtime, and I'm actually on Real Simple, and I can use them because my wife subscribes to their magazine.
Oh, that's why you can use it? That's what makes it legal?
No, I just made that up. I'm trying to throw off the attorneys. Because we're obviously people they can go after to get huge settlements.
Right.
Yeah.
And John, to just make it clear, you're not really an attorney, but you did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
That's exactly right. No, I'm a Marriott guy. But
oh, yeah, me too.
I've stayed at Holiday Inn Expresses before, though.
Yeah, that's my studio today, actually, is a Marriott. I'm at a Courtyard Marriott sitting in my room talking to my computer.
That's very nice. And you and I do that often, so it's good to know that we can do this on the road even too.
Absolutely. Hopefully we don't have to bleep out the names of those hotels.
No, hopefully
we love them all. Maybe if we say we love them, they won't care.
We do love them, and I don't think they are going to care. I have huge status with Marriott, so I'm sure they will.
I'm leaving that one alone.
Thank you very much. That's because I'm large. So on this list, here are a couple of there are like 50 of them, so I'm not going to go through all of them, but there are certainly some that are kind of springy. Have a picnic at the park is one example of something you can do early in spring. and something to make you enjoy the outside. And that's
well,
pretty cool.
I have to jump ahead a little because I know one of the things on your list is pull the Harley out of the garage.
Oh, that's not on this list. It's on mine, though. Yes.
Oh, that's on your list, right? But I can imagine you in your Harley T-shirt, your leathers, on your Harley, driving out for a picnic in the spring.
I will do that.
There's going to be the red and white checkered blanket on the ground, and it just fits with the Harley.
The only difference would be that the blanket on the ground would have the Harley barn shield on it. So
nice,
nice. It wouldn't be red and white check though. Yes, so and mine is the same as anybody who's been waiting for the temperatures to get above 40 degrees for several months now. Yeah, I'm dying to get on the bike, but it's going to take a severe cleaning because it's been sitting in my garage now for several months. And I'm dying to get out on it. I would actually go on a picnic. There are things Harley enthusiasts will do anything to have an excuse. Like, let's see, here's one of them: jog outside, go for a jog. Well, I'm going to have to take the Harley out someplace to go for a jog. That's how I'm going to have to frame all of this.
That's a good justification. I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Visit a farm to see the animals. Visit a farm to see the animals. Yeah, you got to take the Harley for that.
Oh, absolutely. Because that doesn't scare the animals.
Well, the new electric Harley.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Now we're talking.
So I'm curious about that electric Harley. Not to sidetrack us, but I'm going to, because that's what we do. We are the PoddiMouths after all. Podcast about everything and nothing at all.
And nothing.
And so anyway, the electric Harley, are they going to do the same thing they did with some of the electric cars where they build in the Harley sound and play it from a speaker?
No, really good question. So it's called the Live Wire, and the Live Wire is it's quiet. It probably has a little whoosh sound to it, but unlike every other Harley, it's not going to be loud.
Okay,
and it's also, but not unlike all the other Harleys, it's going to be $30,000.
Okay, is that expensive or cheap for a Harley?
Oh my gosh.
I thought Harleys were really expensive.
Well, they are, and mine, I'm, believe me, not bragging, it's my third one, excuse me. And after equipping it the way I wanted to, essentially making it fit me, mine runs in that ballpark.
Okay.
But it's still an electric bike. You kind of go, oh, well, this is cool, and it's reaching an entirely different market, but $30,000. And so regardless of the market it's striving to reach, it's going to reach only the affluent market,
right? Because
nobody is going to buy one of these, I don't believe, for, just to try out an electric bike, because they sell others, not Harley, but other manufacturers sell them for, $10,000 less for a comparable, as I understand.
Sure.
Motorcycle.
I think, though, and again, we need to get back to the spring topic, but I think
no, we don't. I don't care.
I think that they can get away with it because most electric vehicles, no matter the manufacturer, are expensive. They're just inherently expensive. Tesla is the perfect example. Look at how expensive they are.
But they've become more mainstream, though.
They are.
Their new, what is it, the Model 3?
The Model 3 or the Y that they just announced.
The new one is the Y,
yeah. And it's going to be affordable, and I'm putting quote fingers in the air.
Well, and you're right to do that, because I think $45,000 is what I heard on the Y. And the 3 is 30-something?
It's supposed to be 35, 30, 35. They haven't made one yet. I think they just started production of the less expensive S models. Most of them have been in the $40,000 range.
The S model. You're changing.
I'm sorry, not the S. You mean what I know.
Well, and the interesting part, they are making the 3, and the 3 I saw on display. The reason I know this is I saw it on display in Scottsdale.
Nice.
And it's really interesting if you're not an electric vehicle enthusiast, and I am and am not at the same time. I don't need I think there is very little environmental benefit to an electric vehicle, mainly because you have to charge them. And guess what power source most people use to charge that stuff? It's the
absolutely.
grid.
Of course, that all depends on where you live.
How do you mean?
There are some places in our country that they get their power from wind or solar. Very little, very few, but there are some.
No, not really.
I'm just trying to help,
yes,
guys.
I know.
But we've talked about electric vehicles before, so I think that one is.
We can certainly not go down that path again, but nonetheless, I think it's. I think that electric is a cool way to go for many reasons, not the least of which is the performance aspect. I mean, they are unbelievable, and the Harley motorcycle is no exception. It's extremely, screamingly fast.
Right. And if I didn't drive so much, I think I've said this before, if I didn't drive so much, and I could afford it, I would probably have a Tesla. Of course, the Tesla would be parked next to my Jeep with the big mudding tires, but that offsets the Jeep, right? Right.
You're buying Jeep offsets. That's why you got the Tesla.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I actually did. As I mentioned, we looked at the 3, and it's pretty cool. The only way I would probably entertain having one in my garage, though, would be through a lease. I'm a little concerned about the batteries and how they're going to. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm sure they'll do something that makes sense, but it's. I question the value of a vehicle that's 5 or 6 years old with a battery that's 5 or 6 years old, and
agreed.
I'm just not sure
I'm not
rectify itself.
Yeah, I'm not in. I've seen some on car lots that are for sale that are used. I wouldn't do that. Not right now.
No.
It's until they get proven, or until the technology is 100% proven, which it'll never be 100%, but close to that. I'm not doing a used version. There's no way.
I'm sure they'll have warranties that will, kind of cover that. But anyway, I will say that the car itself, just looking at the 3, and I looked at the others as well that were in the showroom at this mall, which I understand they're not going to be selling them that way any longer. Tesla.
No, I think they decided they were. So I just heard in a news story recently that they've decided to keep their showrooms, or at least many of their showrooms, and instead they are going to raise the price of some of their models.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
and so that is a little concerning too, because they're changing their mind a lot. 2 weeks ago in automotive news, that was the big thing.
That's par for the course for Tesla, though.
It is, but I think it speaks of their financial troubles that have been only whispered about. They really haven't, provided any details that they're in financial trouble, because I don't think they are, frankly. I think there are enough aficionados that would support them, as with the 3s that they had, so many that were that were on order, and people just plunked down $1,000,
right,
and funded the company essentially for some time.
Absolutely. And they're still talking about, and you can't really do this when you're in a lot of financial trouble, they're still talking about buying another plant, which they do need to do if they're going to continue building. And if they're building a new model line, they're going to need a bigger plant.
Yep.
Going to need a bigger plant. Anyone get that reference, please? Please, anyone? I think John did.
I didn't. I just laughed because it was a funny.
You didn't get that reference?
Oh, we're going to need a bigger plant. What?
We're going to need a bigger boat. Jaws.
Oh, wow. Gosh, when did Jaws come out? 30 years ago?
More than that.
Holy cow.
Dude. I think it's more like 40, 42, something like that.
Well, though, full disclosure, you and I were making Top Gun references when we were preparing to start the podcast.
But that was like 1984, 85. So
talk to me. No, it's no good. It's no good.
Yes.
We are bozos. We try to hide the fact that we're bozos, but not successfully sometimes.
Not successfully at all. We should bring back that television show.
We should bring back the television show. That was actually shot in Chicago.
Really?
For the longest time.
I didn't know that.
Yep. And And remember the bucket game? I love the bucket game.
Oh, we have gone so far away from talking about spring.
But I think Bozo loved the springtime. So there we are. Back.
I'm sure. Well, and the perfect car for the springtime is probably an electric car.
Sure.
It's a stretch, but I wanted to try to get there.
Our fans, and I have to say, we have many fans now. And when I say many, it's more than two.
Did you say mini or many?
Many.
Oh, many.
Yes.
I liked mini.
We
have mini fans.
we may have some smaller stature people, and that's fine. But I will say that all of our fans know that we very seldom actually stay on topic.
Well, that was the whole point of the podcast anyways.
I know.
But even before we had a podcast, you and I never stayed on topic.
That's true. And then we thought one day, hey, we should record this crap. Yeah, I know how it goes. So springtime is a big deal. And truly in the Midwest for us, it is all about getting the motorcycle out of the garage. And if you're an aficionado of that sort of thing, riding a bike, and I am, it's all about getting it out of the garage and getting it rolling, because it really does signify spring for us, for bike owners.
That makes a lot of sense. I can tell you this past weekend, one of my neighbors, their kids were over playing with my daughter, and the father came by, and he was saying, we were looking at each other's yard, not each other's yards, but all the neighbors' yards. And he said, I'm just not ready to mow the lawn. I'm not ready to get the lawnmower out. And I pointed to my garage and said, that's what I have to deal with, because my lawnmower is actually behind about 60 paint cans, a set of bikes, set of golf clubs. And it's buried way in the back of the garage. And it's going to take me a whole day just to clean the garage enough to get the lawnmower out so I can mow the lawn. That's what spring means to me.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, not really.
Well, mine is in there too, and we have hired a company to do our lawn for the past couple of years.
Oh, I was going to say, you hired someone to come and clean your garage for you so you can get the lawnmower out? That's genius.
No, but I would like to do that. So here's the thing that keeps our garage clean. We spent too much money on getting it's not epoxy, but it's a chip version of an epoxy floor in the garage. It's very durable, and it looks awesome.
Nice.
Only when it's clean, though.
Right.
And after the winter, especially a Midwest winter with salt and dirt and all that stuff, it looks like hell right now. So
wow.
We are going to be cleaning it just because we want that sparkling showroom garage again.
I don't blame you.
Much money on the floor.
I would love to clean my garage right now. We have a 2-car garage. We can only fit 1 car in there, barely.
Yeah. Is that a Jeep in the garage?
No, it's my wife's car, because I don't get to park my car in the garage.
But you're in Nashville, so you don't have to scrape the windshield and all of that, right? Typically,
we do scrape the windshield, but it's not ice I'm scraping off.
What is it? Nuclear fallout?
Pretty much. No, tree sap, bird poop, all that crap. And I was going to, because I think on your list is starting gardening or starting the garden.
Yes, right.
That's one of the things on the list. So one issue we have, we did that last weekend too. We actually started planting some of our vegetables that we wanted to do this year. And,
awesome.
And we're starting to get some of the gardening beds or the planters ready to go for the year, because we will be. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, let me ask you about that, because there are many different ways to do it. We've done pot gardening, I guess, not actual marijuana gardening, but using the pots so they're not in the. And there is Indy barking. Sorry about that. And
hey, Indy.
I think he knows it's you.
I'm sure he does.
So since we've done the dog episode, this is perfectly allowed. Having
absolutely
barking in the background, which is awesome.
I think that makes the podcast, because you don't usually hear that in other people's podcasts.
No, that's true. We could start all over again, but I think people would be sad about that.
I think so too. And if next time I'll have to remember to record my dog's barking, and I'll play it in the background while I'm sitting at my laptop.
Especially if we get lost like we often do. And
right.
Just go, I'm going to need to put in a bark now. So the potting, I don't know if you use pots or if you have a raised bed, or what do you guys normally do for your gardens?
Well, where we live now, we use pots. That's the biggest issue we have with our location right now. When it comes to the gardening, we don't have a full day sun ever anywhere in our property, because we've got a ton of very mature trees. And so we are limited to pots, and they're smaller pots because we will literally move them during the day to get sun.
Got it.
So in the morning, they'll be in one spot. In the afternoon, they'll be in another, just to give them enough sun so we can grow some vegetables.
You need pots on wheels.
Well, one of them is on wheels because it's a big pot.
Motorized. Maybe like motorized. You could use a remote control and move.
I could get a Harley
with a trailer, a pot trailer. I like the way this is going.
Well, maybe I could get a big trailer with a bathroom in it.
Wow, that takes us right back to our RV conversation, doesn't it? Why are all these
screw this gardening crap? Compost.
Man, yes, a composting toilet. You're thinking it all through now.
Yeah, but speaking of compost, we actually do compost.
Okay,
so we have a compost drum in the backyard,
and you roll that every so often.
Yeah, every 2 days it gets rolled.
Okay.
It hasn't lately because we're at the end of the season, or the beginning of the season of the compost for us. So we've got enough in there where I will now take the dirt that I've used in the pots, put it in my wheelbarrow, and then I'll dump out the compost, mix all that dirt together, and then put it back in the pots.
So I think I know the answer to. I think I know the answer to this. What stuff do you put in the compost barrel?
So we limit it a little bit because there are a lot more things you can put in there, but they take a little bit longer to compost. So we just put our the parts of the vegetables we don't use when we eat our vegetables. Yep. We put some grass, some of the leaves in there, a little bit of dirt from the time before, just regular things that are easily compostable that can go, our eggshells, things like that. What we avoid, we don't put bread or meat, obviously, because you don't want to do that. You can put bread sometimes, but we don't. We usually eat all our bread anyway, so we never have very much waste there. Coffee grounds is one I do put in there. I do put a lot of my coffee grounds in there. That's probably the best part of the whole mix. And we avoid papers because you can put paper in there. I know my dad puts paper in his, but it takes a lot longer to break down that paper, depending on what kind it is. If it's recycled or if that's labeled compostable, then we might consider it. Same with some of the compostable plates. You can get plates like that and put it in there. We stay away from it though. I think this year though, we had decided we were going to try it to see if we could get it to break down a little bit.
Like newspaper or something like that. How would that?
You can put newspaper in there, but we probably will avoid that too. We'll just use if we get paper plates, they'll be the compostable paper plates, compostable paper towels, things like that. Okay.
So how stinky does that get?
Not stinky at all. I mean, if you stick your head in it, you're going to smell. But if you wouldn't smell anything if you were 5 feet away from it.
Oh, cool!
It's a pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it's not as bad as people think, and that was one of my biggest fears. So when I first got that drum, it was the furthest away from the house you could possibly get it, and the furthest away from the neighbors you could possibly get it.
Sure.
Then we found out it didn't smell. So we actually at the old house we had it right next to the back door, and at this house we have it sitting right outside of our screened-in patio, and we never smell it.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So how big is it? I mean, I've seen some that they sell, online or whatever, and they're kind of, they're not that big, but how big is yours?
Well, since I know our demographic, quite a few people that listen, I'm friends with, most people would understand the size of a beer keg.
I think most people understand that anyway, whether we know them or not.
Set it up like that.
Yes, well played.
It was funny.
Well played.
But it's about the size of a beer keg.
Okay. Now, when we're talking beer keg, are we talking half barrel or are we talking fifth
full
barrel, quarter barrel?
No, full barrel.
A full barrel of beer.
Full barrel, yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Now I wouldn't. It's the same. It's the same concept. It's fermentation in a sense.
Yep.
But I definitely wouldn't drink anything out of this.
And I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure some people would try, but
one more question, because this is, and I'm just mostly guarding to make sure this doesn't become the PoddiMouths gardening show. Because
I trust me, I have a brown thumb, and so does my wife.
I'm going to leave that alone because it's just too easy. But what do you typically plant in your pots? What sort of things do you plant?
Sure. We have tomatoes. That's the easy one. I plant jalapeno peppers every year.
Awesome.
I love those. We have some herbs, so we plant a lot of mint, a lot of basil. Last year I did some thyme, but that didn't work very well. And some, what's the one that smells like a tree? I can never remember the name of it.
Like a tree?
It smells like a Christmas tree.
Like rosemary?
Rosemary, thank you. I can never remember rosemary. Anyway, so I planted, I do too. Awesome. I put it in gin and tonics. That's the only reason to grow it, right?
No, it's great with pork.
Pork and chicken too, right?
Yeah, you can do it with chicken. I'm a pork guy. Okay, go. Continue. I'm sorry.
No worries. So tomatoes, jalapeno peppers. Last year we did some carrots that we only got 2. Green beans usually. And what else? What else did we plant this year? My daughter wanted to plant some cauliflower, so we planted some cauliflower this year. And when I say planted, we are pre-planting. We're planting, and they're all sitting indoors. And then we will transplant those. And we have a few other things that we'll sow directly into the ground when it's ready. So we have about a month, 4 weeks before we can start planting outside. And we'll see what comes up this year. Last year was probably the biggest quote unquote harvest that we've ever had. We had a whole bunch of cherry tomatoes, which were fantastic. Got a couple of jalapenos. All of our herbs were great. We use those all year round. We got some beans. That was about it. That came up last year.
Do you freeze dry the herbs?
No, haven't done that yet. We literally bring them inside.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So they keep growing all year round.
Cool.
Yeah. This is actually, I take that back. Well, I don't take it back. That's what we do. But this is the first year I've actually tried to grow basil from seeds. Usually I buy the seedling, the one that's already come out of and just transplant that. But I'm trying this year. I'm going to see if I can do it.
You know, I'm a huge basil fan just because I love pesto so much.
Oh, yeah. And that's why I want to do it this way, because I never seem to have enough. I can make one batch of pesto.
Yes.
And I won't have enough for 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to use it more, so I want to plant more.
Do you have any problems with rabbits or any other animals?
Birds. We have a lot of birds in the backyard. So this year I'm going to actually put some. I have a screen from our patio that I'm just going to kind of build a frame to put over that when they're just coming up, and hopefully that'll save them a little bit. But one thing I am trying, and you can do this all year round, and it's the first time I've ever done it. I love alfalfa sprouts. So I bought a bag of alfalfa sprouts, and I even have it with me now. I just put about a tablespoon of alfalfa sprouts in a mason jar, and then I have a screen on top so I can drain water. You soak the alfalfa sprouts for 24 hours. Actually, it's 12 hours. You're supposed to soak it for 12 hours, drain it, let them dry for 12 hours, and then you get them wet and drain it, let it sit for 12 hours. And you do this for 12 hours for 4 to 6 days, and you have a whole batch of perfectly done alfalfa sprouts for your sandwiches.
Really?
Yeah, and it's working. It's beautiful. I should take a picture and post it.
That's awesome. Have you ever tried that with gin?
With gin?
Yeah, soak them in gin instead of water.
No.
Yeah, I just made.
Does that work?
I just made that up. I have no idea.
I was going with it, and you dropped the ball there, buddy.
Well, I could have continued, but I think you should have a jar with water and a jar with gin, and just see which one grows better.
Well, I'd probably use vodka and to make it alfalfa flavored vodka.
It's going to take us back to our gang, Spanky and Alfalfa, and
Very true.
So what the last be again, so at the risk of turning it into a garden show, this is really a man thing though. How hot are the jalapenos? You only got a couple, you said last year.
They weren't very hot at all. Which do
you like spicy? Do you like them hot?
Not really. I actually prefer the flavor of the. I want a little bit of a kick, but I don't mind heat. It's fine. It's good. Problem I have with anything that's super spicy is I start to lose the flavor. All I get is the heat, and I really want to taste the food. So if you add a little bit of heat, but it enhances the flavor, I'm all for it. But if you add heat just to add heat, it's not worth it to me.
Got it. That's very smart. You're a smart man. I don't care what anyone says.
Well, you should listen to some of those people. Really, you should.
I know that would make me smart.
Remember, I'm a vessel of useless knowledge. Useless being the operative phrase there.
You sure vessel isn't the operative phrase?
No.
Part of the phrase?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's awesome.
If that were the operative word or operative phrase, it would be void, not vessel. Absolute void.
That is not true. You're a very intelligent man.
Well, I fake it well.
That's really all we need on PoddiMouths.
That's right.
We just need faking.
So how about you? What do you prepare with in the spring? You had mentioned earlier, I think you guys plant a garden as well, but you kind of, do you do pots? Do you plant directly into the ground? Do you have gardening beds?
No, and we have friends who have, I'm going to guess, a quarter acre, maybe not quite that much, but pretty close, of garden that they do, and they are in it all the time. Because they have to be, probably, just to keep sane and to keep it actually producing. But they always have everything from tomatoes to cucumbers to, and just more than you can shake a stick at. But it's really a commitment. It's a huge commitment on their part. And so, they'll work 8 or 9 hours and then come home and weed in the garden for 2 hours before bed. I just, wow.
That blows my mind.
I give them great credit because they have beautiful gardens, but
some people, that's relaxing to some people. I know one of the people listening now, I think we've had conversations in the past that he actually enjoys coming home and being able to do that because it kind of winds him down from the day, or working on it during the weekend. It really just kind of frees his mind. Free your mind.
Wow, nicely done.
That was another film reference I'm sure no one got.
Well, I'm sure it's from 50 years ago.
No, it was newer. It's from the mid-90s. Mallrats. Free your mind.
Mallrats.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm holding off on the second line because it's inappropriate unless we want to start cursing.
Let's try and avoid that if we can. I think my pastor is listening.
Mine too.
Well, I want mine too, so it cleans me up a little bit.
Right. There you go.
Which would be good. So we do mostly pots and we do primarily herbs, I would guess. But we've, in the past we've done, do you ever do that upside down hanging tomato plant thing?
No, but I've always wanted to try that.
We did. And it actually was pretty good. It worked pretty well. And, but it's, as you intimated, it's all about where you place it to, what sunshine you have, right, and so on.
Now that, quite honestly, that might work. We have one part of right off of our screened in porch. It's between two houses, but there is plenty of sun that hits up high. We could probably do something like that and actually get them to grow. Yeah. I might try that this year.
You should. It's really, and they're not, they're a little more expensive than seedlings or whatever, but I think because it's kind of a thing, people go,
we can afford it. We have this podcast.
We are very wealthy just because of this podcast.
I was wealthy is in the, let me try that again. Wow. Wealthy is in the eye of the beholder. There's difference between wealthy and rich, young man.
Wow. Thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's true. We're neither, but so there. But we are vessels of useless knowledge.
Vessels of useless knowledge.
Yes.
I'm still going to get those cards made.
I think we need to. I think that would be a good thing to hand out to clients.
We might need to change the name of this podcast.
Once we get fired, we'll be doing a lot more podcasts once we get fired.
Right.
What should we do our podcast on today? How about how fun it is not to have a job? That wouldn't be good.
No,
that would not be good.
Well, and that's, that has actually been a topic of conversation with people lately. As we visited some dealerships this week, is, the one nice thing about being in the car business is we really don't necessarily have to worry about not being employed. There's always the risk you're going to get fired. There's always the risk that you need to go and find a job. But because we have such good relationships and this industry is so big, we as consultants, if we were to lose our job today, would probably have a job by tomorrow. Not necessarily one we would want, but we would have a job tomorrow. Just walk into a dealership and say, "Here's my resume. I want a job," and they would probably say yes.
Well, yeah, the car business is interesting, and many of our listeners may either be familiar with it or just have heard some of the stories that, the used car salesperson persona, that it's this is someone who will lie to you to make a sale or whatever. And while there is some truth to that, but I think there's some truth to the fact that in any industry that's accurate. You can,
I agree.
You have bad people in every industry, but there's also a culture of weirdness in the car business. For example, there was a dealer with whom I became familiar many years ago, and there is a sales performance board at most dealerships, but at his in particular. And with 22 salespeople at this dealership, as I recall, he would fire the lowest one on the sales board every month. Yeah. Just automatically. And it didn't matter who it was. So what kind of a culture does that create? Certainly not a retention-based culture. It's crazy.
Absolutely. And a lot of them don't care about retention. They don't think about the cost that retaining their or not retaining their employees actually is.
Well, and we used to say,
because there's a cost involved.
We used to say it's 5 times less expensive to keep an existing employee than it is to go get a new one.
Very true.
And you think about that and you go, well, what's involved in getting someone new? Well, advertising, maybe, interviewing for sure, finding out the things that are sometimes hidden on resumes,
right?
That we might not know about, and doing background checks and blah, 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 blah. And then finding out that you hired the wrong person after all.
Right. Yeah. No, it's insane. But we digress.
We do digress, as we often do.
That's what makes us unique and fun. That's what's attracting all of our listeners.
I'm sure. I'm sure there are many out there that go, what the heck was I thinking?
I wanted to listen to a show about gardening, and now I have to listen to about hiring at car dealerships. What?
But at least I got some Harley in there.
That's true. Harley. And what else did we talk about? I don't even remember. Obscure movie quotes?
Well, yeah, and that continues apparently.
Very obscure, obviously, because no one's getting my quotes. I'm kind of disappointed you didn't get my my Jaws reference.
I'm sorry. I haven't watched Jaws for 28 years.
28? That's very specific, John.
I know. It's because I think it was 10 years old when I watched it again the last time. I don't know why. Yes, 28 sounded good. But I remember Martin Brody. I remember that.
Is that 28 years more like 96 or 97% of all statistics? Is that what you're going for there?
Made up on the spot, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Or I was talking about dog years. That's possible.
Dog years.
4 years ago.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So what else are you, so springtime is great. So again, I'm not home this week, but my daughter is on spring break and my wife is constantly sending me pictures of things that they're doing outside. And one thing that thought was kind of neat is she was actually riding a horse this week, and she wasn't wearing the big coat that made her look like a pimple on the back of this horse. It was fantastic. So she was wearing a short sleeve shirt and trotting around the arena on the back of this horse. So that's one thing that, I mean, we do that year round, obviously, because I just mentioned the big puffy coat, but that's one nice thing about spring is we can actually get out and do more things like that and not have to dress appropriately, if you will, for the weather. For the weather, people. For the weather.
Very good.
Well, the warmer it gets, the more inappropriately we dress, right?
No, you always dress appropriate to the weather.
Okay.
Wow.
All right.
You're killing me, man.
I was going prudish on you, buddy.
Yeah, I know you were. I know how you roll. So it's funny you say horseback riding because I swear to you, and I just took a picture of it with my phone. On my screen in front of me is this real simple list that I referred to earlier. Go horseback riding is one of them right on my screen.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Man, I'm good. And we didn't even talk about your list beforehand.
You're a genius.
Oh, no. We already discussed this, John. Vessel of useless knowledge.
But if you were a genius, what would be the next thing on the list, do you think?
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
So we talked about gardening. We talked about the Harley, even the Harley wasn't on the list. It was on your list. Yep. We talked about this. We talked about that. We talked about mowing the lawn. Yeah. Hiking. I'm going to say hiking is on the list.
Oh, you know what? I'll give you that. Walk on a deserted beach.
Okay. All
What's
right.
on the screen in front of me. But
okay.
Here's the other one, and this is the one I want to talk to you about. Play a round of golf.
Oh, see.
What happened there? Oh, that was awesome.
I am a golf fanatic. I love golf. I would golf every day if I could. Last year, do you know how many times I got onto the golf course?
See, I knew there was going to be a but in here, sort of. Yes. How many times last year?
On the golf course?
Yeah.
0.
Oh, really?
I did not get to play around the golf at all last year.
And you said
I did get to go to the range, so I got to hit some. I got to hit some balls, but I never got to go out on the course. Oh. It was very disappointing. It was heartbreaking.
So let me just ramp that up just a little bit because I too may have played once last year, but I'm not sure. I live on a golf course.
Oh, that makes it even worse.
I know, because I watch people playing golf and I go, well, I'd sure like to be out there with them.
Yep.
And yeah, so I feel your pain.
But we'll just have to go golfing this year.
We should go together and actually do a podcast from the course.
Oh, that's genius. Done.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yep. Now, when I drive everywhere for work, I don't usually fly. So in the spring and summer, and just as you said, when I clean my garage, the golf clubs are in the garage right now, hiding the lawnmower.
Yes.
When I clean the garage, they will end up in my trunk. And my clubs and my daughter's clubs sit in my trunk all spring, summer, fall.
And apparently if last year is an indicator, for
it
no
didn't work.
reason.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we go hit balls, but that was the extent of it.
Wow. And does your daughter enjoy playing as well?
She used to. I don't know if she still does anymore. She was all about golf, and that's why I bought her a golf set.
Yeah, is it
golf clubs? And no, it's yellow because she was too tall for the pink ones.
Me too.
Yeah, me too. So she was actually a little bit too short for the yellow ones, but I figured growing into them is better than having to get another set. So I just had her choke up. So this year she probably is tall enough to use them correctly.
Yep.
And next year we'll probably have to get her a new set if she's still interested. But she was. They have a golf program at her school. So for 8 weeks, they would do golf lessons after school, and she loved doing that. But she preferred tennis more. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see this year if she still wants to do it.
So you may have tennis rackets in your trunk.
But I hate tennis, so I don't know how that's going to work.
Oh, take one for the team. Come on.
Oh, I'll play with her once in a while, but I'm not good at it. It would probably be better for her to hit a ball against the wall than to play with me because she'll get the ball returned more often.
If you hit it against the wall, you're going to get it returned every time, aren't you?
That's my point.
That was useless knowledge.
Yeah, it was useless knowledge.
You are correct. Okay. Others on our list, fly a kite. How long since you've flown a kite?
Flew a kite twice last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we do it on the beach every year because we go to on vacation. And last year I bought a really nice kite and we flew it on the beach.
Now, when you say
Twice.
really nice kite, tell me about that.
Like one that won't, if it hits the ground, won't break apart and you'll never be able to use it. It's, I spent, instead of spending $5 on it, I spent 10.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say like 150, and I'm going, wow.
God, no, I'm not that. I'm not that.
You
loaded,
are wealthy.
buddy. The podcast hadn't started yet. This year, I might go buy $100 kite just because we have this podcast.
Good idea. Awesome. Okay, so let's see. What else do they have here? See, some of these are just skip stones across a pond. Okay.
Okay, that one's a little.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
And
See, down here, we can do that year round. Up there, you can't. I mean, you could, but it would skip a long way up there.
They skip a lot better up here in the winter.
Yeah.
And they're all laying on the ice for the rest of the winter. Who's the dink who put these out here? Okay. What else do they have? Oh, this is like food and drink too. Steam whole artichokes and eat them leaf by leaf.
I don't think that is a spring thing. That's weird. But I'm not going to knock it. I apologize for those people that call that their springtime fun.
But eat a ripe apricot. I prefer those to the ones that aren't ripe.
Yeah.
But eat jelly beans. Come on.
But I eat jelly beans year round, buddy.
No. Hey, and you know what? Interesting. I just saw this somewhere that they now have jelly beans. In fact, I won't say them. I don't know why I'm avoiding it. The most famous jelly bean company.
Jelly Belly.
Okay. And that's who it is. As I understand, not sure if it's true, haven't verified it. They're coming out with some jelly beans with CBD oil in them.
Seriously?
Yes.
Huh.
And so CBD oil it's cannabidiol, I think is what it stands for.
That sounds right.
Well, it's the hemp plant. It's
the hemp. It doesn't have any of the THC in it.
Correct. And but it does have some healing qualities, as I understand.
Sure. Yep. But I know people that use it regularly and they swear by it.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of that stuff, especially for medicinal use, which is really the only thing that's good for, hemp oil is a little different because hemp oil is made from the seeds. How about that? Right. See, I actually did a little research on it. CBD oil is made from the flowers, the leaves, and the stalks, not the seeds.
Okay.
And so hemp oil, I didn't know this. You can use it instead of like olive oil, for cooking.
Yeah. Yep.
I've never.
And actually, my wife, because you can buy hemp seeds in the store. They're not illegal.
No, they shouldn't.
And my wife puts them on salads, the hemp seeds themselves.
And does she roast them first or no?
I have never seen her roast. She buys them roasted.
Got it. That's what I would do. Well, anyway, I found that interesting about jelly beans. That
is interesting. And I'd actually like to have a whole episode that talks about this particular topic. I know it's a controversial topic, but I do think it would be interesting because I don't use them. I've never used stuff like this, but I would be interested if it were legal.
Well, and CBD oil is in many states. There are some differences between state laws and federal laws, and a lot of it is a lack of information. I think for a lot of these things, people still think you can get high from CBD oil, and you cannot,
right?
Because there's no THC or relatively none, and
right.
So yeah, I would agree with you. I think that would be a good conversation, but I'd like to do more research on it before.
Me too.
Jump in.
I might actually do research. I need more useless knowledge.
Well, it might be useful if you ever had.
Oh no! Don't tempt me.
Okay, I won't. Back to our list. All
right,
a picture of margaritas. Another springtime.
Again, year round. I mean, that's daily, right? The normal person does. Oh wait, sorry, different topic or different.
You don't drink margaritas in January.
I actually I don't drink margaritas, so.
Oh, well, then you never do that. You should try this in the springtime. You could put a sprig of rosemary in those margaritas too. I'm just saying.
There you go.
Watch bumblebees at work in a garden.
No, thank you.
I don't know. Is that a springtime thing? I guess.
As much as I would like to relax and be able to quote unquote stop and smell the flowers, literally, especially if they're bumblebee, but that would be. I would want to stay away from the bumblebees when I did
and bumblebees are different.
I don't think I could sit and watch bumblebees. I mean, that would be, I would be bored in 30 seconds.
I would too. So I'm with you on that. However, if you're drinking margaritas while you're staring at bumblebees,
I think you're going to need something a little stronger than margaritas.
Maybe so. Margaritas with shots of tequila on the side or something.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking more like, ecstasy or wow. I was going some psychedelic.
You certainly were. Well played.
Yeah.
There was, and speaking of bumblebees, in our deck in the backyard is next to like some flowering bushes and so on. And so we often will get bumblebees at different times of the year. One, I swear, was, I'm making the size with my finger right now. It was like the size of a golf ball almost.
Oh, wow.
And they don't fly by your head going, zzz. They fly by going, oh, it sounds like it's a nuclear powered sub or something just scooshing by your head. It was huge.
Well, speaking of that, and since we're on the topic of spring and the sound of bees buzzing, the one thing I hate about spring, which you can probably relate to more than I, the buzzing of mosquitoes.
Oh, yeah, but they don't usually, do you get them in the spring? I guess you do in Nashville.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because once it warms up enough and we don't have frozen water. Right. And that's where mosquitoes come from. They lay their eggs in water and they grow out of there. So once it gets warm enough for mosquitoes, they're out. We've already had mosquitoes in the house.
Oh, gosh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Well, and that is, if there is one good thing about freezing cold temperatures for several months in the upper Midwest, it is the fact that you get rid of most, if not almost all of the insects.
Yeah, that is nice. The only difference, though, is in Nashville, we have mosquitoes. In Wisconsin and in Minnesota, the mosquitoes can carry you.
Oh, they're huge. But it's usually later in the season. It's usually summertime.
Right. Yeah. They have to grow to be big enough to. I mean, in the spring they could probably carry little babies, but once you get to late summer, then they're big enough to carry full.
Last year in Texas, I heard tell that there were the biggest mosquitoes they have ever seen there, and I don't know how big that is, but really? Apparently Texas has.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
See, told you. And I lived there, so I can tell you indeed that in Houston we've had some big mosquitoes over the years.
I don't know if this is true. I've had friends that were born and raised in Texas, and we've had this conversation before. It always seems to me that Minnesota and Texas are constantly battling between the biggest. Yes, Texas is the bigger state. Everything's bigger in Texas. That's their slogan. But the University of Minnesota versus UT in Texas, they're always battling to who has more students, who's got a bigger campus. And the state fairs. Who has the bigger state fair? Well, one year it'll be Minnesota. The next year it'll be Texas. It seems like they just keep going back and forth, back and forth. I don't understand it. It might all stem from their illegal stealing of the North Stars back in the late 80s, early 90s. They stole our team. But hey, we got the
illegal stealing,
we got the wild out of it,
as opposed to legal stealing.
Yeah, well, I couldn't think of a word, John. I'm having word trouble. I only had one cup of coffee. Give me a break.
That's all I've had too. But look at me at the top of my game.
Yeah, but you're older and better looking.
Wow.
I couldn't even think of a bad diss there. That's how bad this is. I need another cup.
Stat.
And I'm a mile and a half away from my favorite coffee shop right now, and I haven't even had a chance to get over there.
So it's like it's taunting.
I wanted to jump on and talk to you. That's how important you are to me. That's how important the podcast is. I'm not even going to my favorite coffee shop to get myself a really good cup of coffee. I'm stuck with this. The coffee brand here that they have at the hotel, which they say is Starbucks, but it's probably some knockoff of Starbucks.
Okay, so let me just speak on behalf of all the listeners. You should immediately rush down there and get some coffee. If it's your favorite coffee shop, and you have a lot of favorites, and this is your most favorite one?
This is my most favorite one.
Oh my God.
It is. I hope that my friends that own coffee shops aren't listening.
Yes, because they'll be.
I love your coffee shop too. All of you.
They'll be spitting in your coffee.
This one's just better. Yeah, right?
Did we talk about that? I thought we did, that where you don't want to send food back. I hesitate to send food back at a restaurant.
I think that was our pet peeve episode. We got a lot of people like that pet peeve episode.
Because we all have pet peeves.
We do. We've had twice as many listeners listen to the pet peeve episode than any of our other episodes.
I saw that. We may have to do another one because I
will have to do it. I'm
expanding.
Oh yeah, mine too.
Yeah,
absolutely. We might have to change it from PoddiMouths to Pet Peeve Mouths. Peeves Mouths.
What a good idea.
Mouths.
What a good idea.
I'm full of them.
You are full of something.
Well, at least I'm full of something.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Great minds think alike, and so do ours.
You did say I'm a genius. I mean, 70, right, on the IQ scale is genius?
Yes.
Okay. See, I am.
I was bad at math too. Yeah, doesn't that really endear you to people when they say, I tested a genius level?
Oh yeah, I know. Okay, that's probably one of my biggest pet peeves. So we're gonna have to save that one for. Well, everything's my biggest pet peeve. I don't know why I say that.
I do. Because they become big pet. I hate it when people get big pet peeves automatically.
Me too. That's my biggest pet peeve.
That everyone suddenly it's their biggest pet peeve.
Yep.
Because we happen to be talking about it. I know that's my biggest pet peeve.
Oh, my favorite. Oh, you're getting on my last nerve. Do you know how many nerves are in your body? How can I be on your last one?
How could you be on the last one?
You must be a saint if I'm on your last nerve.
Oh, my gosh. So can you imagine if we took all the topics and we put them on a chart, all the things that we've talked about, and say, now match that to the episode. So we're talking about how you got on my last nerve. Oh, well, that would be in the springtime episode.
Well, there are probably some people out there. I mean, we have been quoting in the last 3 or 4 or 5 all episodes, little movie quotes. So I'm sure there are people that listen that intensely or intently to our podcast that could pick out everything and say, no, that was in this episode.
And they wouldn't.
No, that was in that episode.
And we would say, we have no idea. We just go.
Because we don't.
We don't have
we just say it's one of our last episodes.
Other than the
no, guys, that was your last episode.
Well, other than the real simple checklist I have here, we don't have notes.
No, we don't.
Okay, now, Nick, this is the spot where you talk about girls' basketball. I mean, we don't really have any of that.
No, I do have a whole bunch about girls' basketball, but I'm not going to go there.
Yeah, don't crack that open right now. We should save that for another episode, like the cannabis episode.
Right. Well, the only reason I say that is I do know that someone who is listening to our podcast right now is a girls basketball coach, and they just won state. So that was my
That's awesome. Well, congratulations to them. Well, no, that's
Jim. Awesome. If you're listening, congratulations.
Hey, Jim. That's awesome. Hey, and the school that was our rival when I was growing up, 5 miles away from my hometown is this rival school, and we played basketball against them and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they had not ever won the state tournament or been to the state tournament in basketball, and they just won it for the first time.
Oh, that's great. Good for them.
Since like 83 years or something. So congratulations to New Glarus High School, New Glarus, Wisconsin.
Nice.
Yeah, proud of them. But we were still rivals when I was growing up, and we hated
of course.
them, so anyway,
Yeah.
now I guess we've softened that blow.
Well, it was a good spring present for them.
It was a good spring. And speaking of spring,
Look at that.
man,
Full
those kids can
circle.
jump.
Wrong kind of spring, John. Wrong kind of
Damn
spring.
it. Well, it's still the spring episode. We can talk about, hey, Slinkies.
True.
I love Slinkies.
I love Slinkies. Yeah. They're very calming. I could watch them for hours, like a bumblebee.
Only if you have steps.
Right.
A
Yeah.
Slinky at the Lincoln Memorial. We should. Are there steps there?
Ooh.
I don't know.
Okay, that's another episode.
Yeah.
We will have a whole episode at the Lincoln
The
Memorial.
memorial episode.
Yeah. Ooh, good one. Actually, we should do an episode on memorials and history.
Well,
his story. Yeah.
We could do that, although at some point, if we keep sucking as bad as we have, it's going to be in memory of PoddiMouths.
In memoriam.
At the PoddiMouths Memorial.
There you go.
Remember them?
Well, that's assuming we get famous enough where they will have a memorial for us.
I think it is a lot of fame comes in hindsight.
Well, hindsight and in our own ego.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I already think we're famous.
So I think it's only fair that you fund our memorial.
Okay.
Okay.
Done. Because I'm wealthy, you know.
I do know that. That's why I hang with you. Are we done?
I've had 2 Harleys. I think so. I think we've beat this one.
I think we have.
I'm going to go out and plant a garden. Oh, yeah. We always have fun. That's the whole point of this, guys. We just want to have fun. We want to have fun, and we want to include everyone in. So if you'd like to join our conversation, please head up to Facebook or Twitter or Instagram and comment on some of the stuff that we're doing and give us some feedback. I think a lot of our fans, I get to talk to some of them one-on-one, and they kind of dictate where we go with a lot of this, and we want to include everybody. So if you get a chance to get up there and leave us a comment, we would love to hear from you and see what kind of topics that we can come up with later. John, anything else?
I can't think of the word.
Patreon?
Oh, no, that was you.
You're thinking the word Patreon?
I am thinking of Patreon. How did you know that?
I'm good. Wait, great minds. We already talked about that.
If you would like us to quit our jobs and you can support us and make us wealthy, go to Patreon and you can be patrons of the show. We would love that.
We would absolutely love that. We lust after our guests, or our friends, not our guests. Let me start that again, John. I do that a lot too.
We may have to rewind this.
We might, yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. We lust after our listeners. We love our patrons, patrons, something like that. Oh, well.
Well done.
Hey, thanks. John, you have a fantastic day. It was great talking to you as always. I'm going to hit the road.
My pleasure, buddy. Go get him. Did I say bruddy?
Bruddy? You said bruddy. I love it.
My pleasure, bruddy. I'm going to call you that from now on.
See, John is the one that usually gets through all these episodes without making a mistake. Sometimes I have to cut some of the things that I say out. I'm going to leave it in here because he doesn't make mistakes very often, but that was a great one. I like that.
I'm going to call you. You've been my bruddy for many years.
Bruddy.
We're going to use
great
that.
talking to you, Bruddy. Absolutely. The whole time.
Okay, pal.
All right. Talk to you later, everybody.
See ya.